Okay then, right, this is the second lesson on this rack virtual modular synthesizer software, and I've started off today with loading up something I've done before. Now it might look a bit scary to begin with, but hopefully by the end of the lesson you'll have a bit of a better idea of how to add things and make like a custom instrument. So really what I've done here is I've added just a couple of things, and I'm not actually using the MIDI bit. So even though it's still connected up, my keyboard's not doing anything. I've unplugged the cables from the MIDI section, and instead I'm using this sequencer here, which is quite interesting. It's sending sort of notes in a sequence based on each note is based on whatever the dial is twisted to. So it's a very bizarre way of working, but it's quite fun. I just thought I'd start with this, mess around with it a bit, do a little performance. Eventually I'd quite like you to create something a bit like this, and do a little composition with it. I'd say compositions, a short little bit of sound design or whatever. But that's sort of eventually what I'd like you to do. So here it is, and after I've done this, I'll sort of go back to the default one, and we'll look about how to add extra things and sort of customize that. So I'd just like to say as well that I'm a bit of a novice at this software. I've only used it for a few days. I kind of thought with the whole distant learning thing, it might be quite a fun thing to do, a good way to teach synthesis as opposed to just loads of documents and websites and stuff like that. So, and because not everybody has Logic at home, which I'd normally teach synthesis in. So, but this is free, so I thought, well, everybody could have a go at this. So anyway, I'm going to perform this beautiful synthesizer now for you. There we go. Wasn't that lovely? So that's the sort of thing hopefully we'll create by the end of I think maybe I'll do one more sort of lesson on this after this one. So let's go file new. I'm not going to save this. So now we're back to our default thing. So we've got to do the same things we did last time. So I've got to go to Audio 8 and set my output, built-in output, and let's change the computer keyboard to be my MIDI keyboard. Of course you don't have to do this if you don't have a MIDI keyboard connected. So now hopefully, good, I've got some sound, that's always nice. The first thing I'm going to do is show you something quite neat you can do with the MIDI thing. So, and if you've got a MIDI keyboard connected up, then you can have a go at doing this. So, on a MIDI keyboard, you've got the pitch bend wheel, and on this particular one, if you push the pitch bend wheel left and right, obviously it changes, it sort of bends the pitch. If you push it sort of forwards, it will control the mod wheel. So this what these two things over here, PW and MW, pitch wheel and mod wheel. So I can use that controller to control certain things in the synthesizer. So the first thing I'm going to do is this confused me earlier, just whack my filter up as it's on right down low. So I thought, oh, why am I not getting any sound? And at the moment, and if you've read my Moodle lesson on synthesis, I talk quite a lot about using the envelope to control other things such as the filter. And that's what's happening here. So the envelope is being, the output of the envelope is being fed back into the frequency. That's the cutoff frequency of the filter. So this shape you're creating with the envelope is being used to control this. So I'm going to get rid of that. Actually, I don't want that in this example. So the cutoff frequency is just literally controlling by me turning the dial rather than it automatically doing stuff. So I think that actually caused a bit of confusion in the last video I was doing. I forgot that was set up. So what I want to do is I want to control the frequency, the cutoff frequency. So basically this dial here, I want to control that, but with my mod wheel on the keyboard. So what I do is I connect the mod wheel one to the frequency here. So now if I play a note and I push up on my mod wheel, you can hear it starts to move the filter up and down. So I can, if I set my filter lower, it will give me a bigger range. So it'll start at a lower point. So you can start doing some quite nice stuff, especially in the bass. Okay, so basically all I've got here is a really simple saw wave, but straight away by just doing some interesting things with the filter, it starts to actually sound a bit like the sort of sound you'd actually use in a dance track or something like that. Even though I've really done nothing to the sound yet. Okay, that was the first thing I wanted to show you. We can actually use this. Let's have a go at using the pitch wheel now to let's use the pitch wheel to control resonance. So that's when I move the pitch thing left and right. So it's so yeah, when I push forwards, the filter opens, and when I push right, you can hear that sort of squealy, whistly sound, which is me turning up the resonance really high. So that's quite cool. You can do all that sort of stuff in Logic as well. You can assign dials and things on your keyboard or whatever to whatever parameters you've got in a synthesizer. This one's a bit different because you've got to physically connect everything up rather than just telling it what dial to do what. But yeah, it's just a nice way of learning. I think what's nice about this is it kind of teaches you what's actually going on, you know, how the signal is flowing through the synthesizer. Right, next thing I want to do is I want to add a second oscillator. So we can kind of just copy what's here. So we just kind of have this twice. You don't need to copy every single component though. So we'll go through that. For example, we can share the envelope. So to add something new, so a new module to your patch, you have to right click somewhere on the blank area of the screen, and it brings up this here. So this shows you all of the different things available to you for free. There are ones you can pay for extra modules, and there's some other free ones you can download as well actually. So if you really get into this, if you go on the website, you can download extra stuff, but this probably is plenty complex enough at the moment. So you can choose any of these things here, but actually what's quite useful when you're trying to sort of just work off what's already here is I can right click on a module, so the VCO here, and I can duplicate it. That's gone up the top there. You can just click on things and move them around. So I'm going to put it nice and neat underneath here. So I've now got two. So I can share. I don't need another MIDI thing. So I want the same note to control both of these oscillators. So, and I want this one to be, this one's a sawtooth, so I want this one to be square wave. So I'll connect up the square wave up to the output. Why can't I do that? I swear I could do that. Oh no, I did that. Sorry, I told you a mistake. That's the output, of course. Connect this, which is the input, up to that. There we go. I told you I'm an amateur at this. The next thing we need is another filter. Let's have another filter. It's a bit weird having that, but I couldn't figure out how to share a filter earlier. So let's duplicate that. It keeps going up here. It's annoying. Come down here. There we go. So what we want now is we want a square wave. So the square wave needs to go into the input here. And then we're going to share the envelope. So we can kind of ignore the envelope at the moment. This retrigger thing, we don't really need that on at the moment, so we don't need to worry about that. The gate is already set there, so we don't need to worry about that again. And the output is so what we need to do now is set the output of our filter here to go into the input there. And can you hear at the moment? It's creating me a note all the time. So regardless of, so I play a note on the keyboard and it just constantly plays that note. And the reason for that is I haven't set up the gate yet. So the gate, remember, is what sort of triggers the envelope. So what we need to do is we need to come from here to here. So we're basically hooking up the envelope to the mixer section. So that's what's controlling the dynamics, the volume. So now when I press my keyboard, I am getting the envelope is being triggered. So it only plays when I press the note rather than all the time. That's a bit complicated. Don't worry if you don't quite get that, but basically just follow what I'm doing and mess around with it. That's kind of the aim of this lesson. So now I've got two oscillators. So I've got the one at the top here. So what I could do as well is, because at the moment you're only seeing, on this scope, you're only seeing oscillator 1. I can connect up from channel 2 here, put that in here. Now you can kind of see both. Kind of slows down a lot. I think my computer's a bit busy at the moment. But you should see if I let's turn the filters up. So you've got your two different waveforms there. Okay, so that's using two oscillators, which is pretty nice. We can mix them. So there's my square wave on channel 2. And there's my sawtooth on channel 1. And there they are both together. So that's working nicely. So I can set different frequency for each. And a different value on the filter as well for each one. And I've still got I can put the mod wheel thing on this one as well. So now I've got, so So that will allow me to control the filter, both filters with one thing, which is quite cool. So you can see it's quite a versatile thing. You can hook up anything to anything, pretty much. It won't let you hook up things which don't work. You can't really put inputs into outputs and things like that. You can't put things in the wrong way round. I'm sort of trying to say, but there's so many different options. Hopefully this is not going too fast too soon, but hopefully you'll just try following what I'm doing, and if you can get it to work, then great, and sort of mess around with the dials. Okay, so the next thing I want to do, I think what I'll do now is actually, just to make it a bit more simple, is I'm going to remove these extra things I've added. So I'm going back to just having having one oscillator. So now I want to add that sequencer in. So let's come over here. Let's right click, and here it is over here. This one called Seek 3. Where's it gone? Up here. It's a bit random where they go sometimes. Okay, so now I've got the sequencer. So first thing I want to do is I want to sort of not use the MIDI keyboard. So I'm going to right click, get rid of all the MIDI keyboard stuff. So that's all out the way. So what we need to do is set up the sequencer in the same way we did for the MIDI keyboard. So the gate has to go to the envelope. So gate goes to gate. So straight away you can hear it sort of sending a rhythm going across the sequencer. So you can click this run button to start and stop it. The next thing I need to do is I need to send this row 1 to the input of the oscillator. So this is what usually I would put the note from my keyboard into the input of the oscillator, but now I'm going to put row 1 into the input. So what that means is row 1 is this row here along all these 8 dials here. So what a sequencer does is it's just sending notes to the synthesizer in a sequence, in an order. So it's got 8 different steps. So sometimes they get called step sequences. So it goes across like this, and you can change the speed of that. And then, because this is a strange thing, the modular synthesizer, we're not dealing actually with sort of music theory and sort of notes, real proper music theory stuff. So it instead, it's just got these, they don't even tell you what they are. Look, it just sort of dials, and these will send a different frequency for each one of these steps. So that's just completely random. Let's have a listen to what that sounds like. You can sort of tune it using this. Lovely. And if I wanted to turn off some of the steps, I can click on these green lights down here. So let's just have, so that now just plays every other one. So that's interesting. So you could have them, if I have them all down at the bottom, they should just send the same note every time. Let's turn them all back on. So that's just creating like a rhythm for you rather than changing the notes. So what I want to do now is I'm going to add my second oscillator back. I know I've just deleted it, but it's okay. It's cool to do it again because it sort of hopefully will sync in a bit better. So I'm going to right click on it and duplicate. I'm going to add another filter. Duplicate. put that down there. Want this one to be a square wave again, so that goes into there. I want it to be a low pass filter, so that's going to go into input number 2 on there. And I want to send row number 2 to the input of this oscillator. So now this will let me have 2 different patterns. So I'm going to keep the top one as just a rhythm. So I'm going to keep that one as just like that, and I'm going to change the bottom one to be a bit different. Oh, stop doing that. Right. There we go. So now I've got 2 different sequences running. I can mix them. And then up here I can change the clock speed. So that's just tempo. So really slow. It flashes the rhythm, the tempo which is at here. Also you can see, just about see where it's at in the sequence as well, and it's sort of glowing lights. You can also change the number of steps, so I can only use 5 steps or 4 steps. So there we are, that's using a sequencer. So hopefully now you can do enough stuff to mess around and make some crazy sounds. You know, I'm not expecting you to make a piece of really beautiful music with this thing at the moment. It's just a sound design tool. Actually, I think it does have its uses. I really liked what I made in it the other day, and I recorded it into Logic and sort of figured out what pitches and what notes I was actually using on this sequencer, and I think it kind of creates a nice like hands-on, and you do things a bit differently than what you would normally do in like a piece of software like Logic. So it definitely has its uses for sound design. Anyway, that is everything for today. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. It's quite complicated, and I completely understand if you're a bit scared of this thing. So, but hopefully you can follow what I'm doing and have a good crack at it. But anyway, that's it for now.